Support local television in Akron by downloading WAOH TV on Roku today.
Welcome to Good Morning Akron, everyone. I'm your host, Sarah, and today I get to speak with Bryson Davis. Bryson, how are you today?
Feeling good.
And Bryson is the CEO of the Akron Leadership Foundation and works with something called the Together Family. So we're going to focus on that here today. So tell me a little bit about the organization as a whole.
Yeah, so we focus on leaders, and particularly grassroots leaders, and even within that group, really a bent toward leaders who are often overlooked. Leaders who we walk by in our neighborhoods all the time. We wouldn't probably necessarily call a leader. You wouldn't identify that they don't maybe have a college degree or don't have a huge savings account to start a business type thing. But these are the folk who we've seen really hold our communities together.
I love that. So, that's really cool. So tell us about the Together Family. What does that specifically do?
Yeah, so this is a group of church leaders and nonprofit grassroots leaders who really just want to see the flourishing of Akron and our greater sort of Northeast Ohio region. And so we connect and support and equip these leaders who are doing really important but hard work. And so it's really important that we gather on a regular basis to sometimes commiserate together, but just sit at tables and share stories and have our hearts feel seen and known and be encouraged in the work that we do, and also hold ourselves accountable to a sort of ethos, a way of doing the work that we do that's based on solidarity and mutuality and empowerment and sort of turning the traditional service motif on its head of from charity and handouts to empowerment and coming alongside people.
That's so cool. So how did you get excited about this work? Let's back up and tell your backstory a little bit, how you got involved in this and what kind of things led you to this place.
So the Leadership Foundation started, for me, it was co-founded with me and a good friend of mine, Dwayne Krabs, and for me, it was just like an extension of my story. So I'm from Compton, actually. It's an infamous place in Los Angeles, straight out of Compton, NWA. And so statistically, like I'm not meant to be a CEO of an organization. I'm not. That's not the trajectory for a lot of people from Compton, especially in the '90s when I was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I end up in Ohio. I get my bachelor's degree. I get a master's degree, and then I'm like back in the neighborhood, and I still don't have really the opportunities that maybe a degree would afford someone who traditionally graduated from a master's degree from Kent State University. And that's a problem.
It is a problem, yeah.
So I'm like, there's lots of leaders out there like me, even those who don't have a degree, who, if they had the right folk to come alongside them, like they would flourish.
Absolutely.
They would thrive. And so it's really like my story that sort of compelled me to get into this kind of work, to say, how can I use the networks that I've built and the knowledge that I've gained over the many years of education and doing work in the city to create pathways as well as remove barriers, so folk in the soil of our neighborhoods can actually address the biggest challenges in our neighborhoods, because we really believe that they are the richest and greatest assets we have in our city.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I love how you used your own story to now come alongside other leaders that want to do the same kind of work that you want to do. So tell us a little bit about some of the work that the Together Family does.
Yeah. So the Together Family, really important for us is that word family. And so we gather, like I said, and we just connect with each other. What's going on in Kenmore? What's going on in Middlebury? What's going on in Summit Lake? And
definitely that support element.
Is huge. And connecting with each other is huge. And so once a year we have a kickball tournament. Every summer. And it's fun. Not like there's not a fundraiser. It's not to save anyone's life. It's not to educate.
Community.
It's literally like, let's just get together, eat some hot dogs, drink some Kool-Aid, and it's competitive and it's fun. And so that family part is really important. As I said, it's a family that plays together and prays together, stays together. And it's sort of like our family extends beyond just the blood of our immediate household. the family of God is bigger than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we try to really lean into that the best we can. But we also do other activities, like we organize around challenges that have happened in our city. So when when there's police brutality or things like that, we convene together, we lock arms with other people around the city, and we try to be a resource and be in solidarity with those who are suffering. We gather on like religious holidays, like this week coming up. I don't know when this is going to be posted, but we have Good Friday gatherings every year. We have a annual like summer conference, or it's not always in the summer, but we have an annual conference where we gather and equip each other to keep doing the work we do and do it even better.
Okay.
And then this summer in particular, we're convening a festival of nonviolence and peacemaking.
Oh, wow.
So we have a lot of different things that we organize around, all for hopefully the good of our cities.
Right. So basically, you are taking immediate needs in the community or things that people are going through in our community and organizing around those things and helping people to make sense of them.
Yeah.
Too.
And they're not just needs, assets too. There's a lot of like beautiful stuff in our neighborhoods, and it's easy to overlook them because there's a shooting or yada yada yada. But like part of doing community organizing and community development is identifying assets and saying like, how can we just amplify those? Like this stuff that's already good, like let's support it, let's enrich it, and
absolutely
let that like carry a lot of the load of like goodness in our communities. But there's obviously needs as well. So come alongside those, and for us,
needs and assets.
There
absolutely.
are needs. Like our kids go to these schools. Like a lot of us live in the neighborhoods we serve in, and so it's one thing to say, oh, like how can look at what's going on over there. It's another thing to say like, wow, that's my kid's school.
Right.
So
I'm gonna get involved and I'm gonna help. Let's make it better.
Why wouldn't I?
Right. Exactly.
So, and then it gives me a little bit greater proximity to the folk who like naturally we might otherize because we only see them on TV or we drive by them when we're going to Walmart or whatever. But now it's like, no, that's my neighbor.
Exactly.
So how can we organize some stuff with our neighbors, because it would be weird not to.
Yeah, and explain that word, because I feel like that's kind of a common word now, like othering or otherizing,
Okay, yeah.
but we don't. It's not always explained. So can you explain what that means?
Yeah. So I'm also a professor, so I could lecture here.
Yeah, give me a very short lecture on what that means.
Yeah. So there's actually these natural tendencies in our brain to otherize things. It's sort of our like survival mechanism. If right now a grizzly bear came in here and just started roaring, our brain would be like, that's an other. Like we should
run away.
That other. Yeah, because our brain in some ways it's not lazy, it's super efficient.
Okay.
And so it creates these heuristics of like, here's a group that's different from me.
Right.
And so
that I don't know about.
This is subconscious. We don't even know this is happening. But then we otherize, to really otherize is to place sort of a value on the other.
Okay.
And so it's okay to recognize someone's different than me.
Right.
Great.
That's true. Right.
Like you're different than me. Like, we have different hairstyles. You know what I'm saying? But when I think of you different and less than, inferior or subordinate, that oftentimes gets married to how we other people, how we put people into categories. And then we quickly lose compassion. We're apathetic about some of their issues that they're facing, and so that can be based on things like. And again, these are some natural instincts that our brains sort of just doing, but it's hardwired into us.
Right.
But then there's also the social elements that like we add into that. So race and class and gender. All of a sudden now, like you're not just different. You're someone that I might see differently. And I might put you in a sort of hierarchy in my mind based on like maybe you're not even as valuable as me, and it's easy to otherize when we have really a great distance between us.
Exactly, and so we have to be intentional.
Absolutely. To
change that in our brain.
Right.
And we have to communicate with the other groups that we see as other, and if you know that you see another group like that, like one thing that you guys are doing with the Together family is trying to create spaces where people are getting to experience things that maybe are outside of their own little bubble that they have, right?
Yeah. So one of the phrases I use a lot is we shrink the space.
Mm-hmm.
So the literal landscape of our neighborhoods are very spacious. When you drive around Akron, there's going to be pockets where all Black people live and all white people live, and even people who have different sexual orientations live.
Right.
Right?
Different
And
socioeconomic groups.
All middle
yeah.
class lives here,
Mhm.
and then here's where all the poor folk live.
Right, right.
And so it's really important in the work that we do to shrink that space. Like,
Yeah, I love that.
Let's pull these things closer to us
Mhm.
so that we can look at them in the eyes and see that these people are just as human as me.
Yeah.
Right? And then also to like just set bigger tables. So shrink the space, and then when you do that, you set a table where
Yeah.
everyone can sit.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And it doesn't matter if you're tall, short,
Right.
black, white, whatever. Like we all can sit at this table and we can have a wonderful meal.
Right.
After we shrink that space.
Metaphorically or for real.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's really beautiful. I love the work that you're doing. Share where people can find you if they're interested in checking you guys out and seeing more about the Together family.
Yeah, so my organization's website is akronlf.org, the Akron Leadership Foundation. You can get connected to us through the website, where our office is located at South Street Ministries, actually, on Grant Street
Great.
In Akron. You can also catch us, the Together family, on Facebook and see a lot of the events that we're doing there together. That is an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's
Beautiful.
That's the impetus of our name.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Bryson, for sharing all of that. Thank you for teaching us a little bit, too. I love your professor side came out a little bit there, so I appreciate that.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching here on Good Morning Akron. We had a great chat with Bryson Davis, and I hope you'll tune in. We've got more great stuff coming up next, so don't go anywhere.